Well, that sets the tone for our discussion. This with Martin Napisa, who is the National Coordinator for the National Taxpayers Association, and he is joining us from our City Centre studios. Good afternoon, Martin, and thank you very much for joining us on KTN News Desk. And straight to it, the kind of report that you've released today, something comes out very clear that most of the resources channeled to the devolved governments are not fully utilized. What is the reason behind this?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me in the studio. First of all, we assessed 6 counties, and we basically focused on construction type projects where we were looking at how much was allocated, how much was used, and how it was used. We did an analysis, and we realized that about 16% of the money were not actually well used, 16%. And for us, this is just a start, and we think that counties are not where the constituency were, because when we started monitoring the constituency, I think it was 29%. So the counties, given that the devolution was just the other day, about 3 years ago, I think they have tried quite much, and we are still engaging to see that they can be able to improve. And some of the areas where we found a lot of wastage was projects that are implemented, you're not using qualified, technical people. Sometimes the material that are used are not very good. Sometimes, you find a project is given more money than it was supposed to be given, spending quite a lot of money on a single project, when the money could have done maybe double the work. So we've seen quite those challenges, and for us, what we are doing is that we are engaging with the counties to see that we can be able to address those issues. And this is the first phase of our monitoring, and we can call it baseline, because on the basis of that baseline is when we can be able to now to engage further for us to see that we are addressing those issues that we found out during the initial monitoring that we've just completed, that we've just launched today.
Martin, also from your report, something very interesting comes up, and that 23 million shillings is, I could say, wasted on conflicting projects. Is this pegged on the duplication of roles from the national government to the county government?
When you look at the project that we looked at, actually it's a serious thing that we, both national government and county governments should need to look at. One, you find that now because of the transition, and transition started some long time ago, we saw transition from the local government to now county governments, where projects are not transitioned. Not all the information are given actually to the authority that's supposed to take over that particular project, for example. So you find a project is being implemented, we have information that it was given some money, but then you don't have a file for that particular information, so you might not be able to know what was supposed to be done, who was doing the work, and you find it sometimes those projects are just abandoned. Sometimes when you look at those records, one particular record gives you a different figure in terms of how much was allocated to those particular projects. Another set of records gives you a totally different figure. So in terms of monitoring, in terms of knowing how much exactly was used in those particular projects, it's actually very, very difficult. We've just seen the CDF changing from Constituency Development Fund to National Constituency Development Fund. Some of the projects that the CDF had not completed, which are supposed to refer to county governments, why they transfer those projects, they don't transfer with all the information. And also counties are very reluctant in terms of taking over those particular projects. So at the end of the day, you'll see that those are the projects that will be just wasted. So we found a very interesting scenario where, you find a project on the ground, you find contractors working on that particular project, but when you engage the counties, they tell you that this project is not ours. But yes, somebody is working on that particular project. So you ask yourself, who that project belongs to who? And when you look at the records in the counties, you find that, that project was allocated money. So we have those challenges that actually we need to look at and see how we can be able to address the issue of information. Record keeping is one of the poorest things at the county level that is hindering public participation, that is hindering access to information, and again is hindering proper project implementation.
All right, Martin, let's talk about the unaccounted for funds. And from your report, you say that about 9 million is not accounted for. Why is this the case?
The case for unaccounted for funds is that we are given records when we go to the ground to look at, what happened. Or we use official information from the counties. Now, when we get information from the counties, they tell us that this project has been implemented, it's in a particular place. We go to that particular place to see if the project exists. It does not exist. We ask the people who stay in those particular areas, it's not there. Yes, on one hand, the county government is saying that the project was implemented. On the other hand, where it was supposed to have been implemented does not exist. So that's unaccounted for funds. We cannot be able to trace the project, yet money has been spent. And those are some of the serious issues that we are supposed to focus on in terms of making sure that every cent from taxpayers is actually used. Although in this particular report, when you look at the percentages, it has significantly gone down. Sometimes back we used to get very huge amount of allocation. But again, losing a cent from taxpayers, I think is very, very painful, and we all need to engage and see how that can be traced.
Now, Martin, your survey went through 6 counties, but I don't think we would be wrong to assert that this is probably the situation with all the other counties. But this also comes at a time when there has been tension, if I could call it that, between the national government and the county governments, where governors are asking for more funds to be channeled to the devolved governments. But with the amount of money that is being wasted at the county level, where do we go from here exactly with the kind of report that you've come up with this morning?
For me, I think we need to strengthen access to information. One thing that is happening that is common among all the counties, you find that citizens' participation is almost missing. You find, a project being implemented, and the people who are being engaged is a contractor directly with the county governments, maybe the chief officers. Minus the citizen, it's very, very, very difficult for people to know what is happening, and people use such like situations for them to be able to misuse the public funds. Counties need to change the way they are implementing projects, and I just give you an example of how the constituencies have been, implementing their projects. They have what we call project management committees for every project, such that there are committees from the community themselves who are supposed to oversee the implementation of the project. In that particular case, you are giving information to the community. They have access to information. They can be able to follow up and be able to question. But in this particular, a kind of situation where you are dealing directly with the contractors, and the people who are supposed to benefit from this particular projects are not participating, it becomes very difficult for people to do the right work because there's nobody who is oversighting them. And I think counties need to learn one word from in terms of using the committees, access to information for people to be able to participate so that they can be able to improve the situation. Otherwise, we might end up misusing a lot of money, because that is, in our assessment, we found out that that was the biggest challenge that we've got on the ground in terms of project implementation.
All right, thank you very much, Martin, for joining us on News Desk. We appreciate you just coming in to tell us more about that report. That was Martin Napisa, who is the National Coordinator for the National Taxpayers Association, who just released a report on the funding and how taxpayers' money is used in the devolved governments. And Timothy Otieno will be giving us a full report on the same in our subsequent bulletin.